Buenas tardes. Mara, thank you for the introduction and thank you for being such an amazing part of our campaign. Something incredibly special for us and for Texas and I think, as you just said, for the country. So I'm honored that you're here, that you're still with us, grateful. Freddie and Lisa, thank you for hosting us in this extraordinary facility. Lots of history, an amazing board that we saw that you put together, and we're grateful to you all for this and for everything that you did along the way. All of the amazing people that you connected us to, all the strength and support and love that was just always unconditional, always checking on us, making sure that we were okay, and made us better for that. To each of you, for taking some time to be here and to welcome us back to Austin, Texas. I could not be more grateful. I cannot tell you how good this feels. To be with the people that we love and who loved us and made what we were all a part of in Texas possible. And it's frankly the only reason that I'm here or in this race, or that we have the opportunity to do something really special for this country. It was the effort that you put in over the 254 counties of Texas. Everyone who decided that they were gonna knock on doors, or David Garza play a benefit for us in El Paso, Texas, or make phone calls, or contribute 10 or 15 bucks to make sure that we could keep the Dodge Grand Caravan rolling down the road and get to the next town. You all made it happen. And every single time that we came to Austin, it was just this incredible boost of love and energy and encouragement. And it really drove us in this campaign. From the very beginning, when we were meeting in rooms like this one, but there were 5 or 10 people. And then as it built over time, and then thanks to Freddie and a guy named Willie Nelson, we got to address almost 60,000 people at Auditorium Shores. You all were with us, encouraging us and helping us to do this literally every single step of the way. And so first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to you and let you know how deeply grateful I am, how grateful Amy is, who could not be here tonight, and our entire campaign team. And when I stopped to think about it, you are our campaign team. We were all in this together, the largest grassroots campaign that the state of Texas had ever seen. Absolutely amazing. So thank you all for making it possible. We've had a chance over the last 9 weeks to travel to some other states in this country. Really amazing places in their own right. There's never going to be any place like Texas for us, but really amazing people who are incredibly courageous in sharing with us their stories and what this moment means to them, and why they've chosen to come out to a town hall in Des Moines or Nashua or Las Vegas, taking some time out of their lives, away from their families, their careers, what else is important to them, not to be there for a candidate or a person or a political party, but for their country. They, like you, like all of us, recognize that this is our moment of truth. We face the greatest set of challenges in this country's history, bar none. And we can talk about them in the abstract, in the big picture. The fact that the wealthiest, the most powerful country on the face of the planet, for example, allows tens of millions of people to go without insurance or see a doctor or receive their mental health care in the county jail, or to not be able to take their child to a therapist so that she's well enough to learn at school the next day. But when I actually get the chance to meet those who are rationing their care, or dying of diabetes, or wonder how they're going to make ends meet when they can no longer afford their premiums or their co-pays, man, that is a driver for us. And we feel that urgency from them, and we invite them, just like you invited your fellow Texans, into this campaign and into the solutions that we want this country to produce. When we meet people who are working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, in an economy that is doing really well for a very small number of people who can't afford to take their kids to childcare, or take time off from work to take care of those kids or themselves or their folks, They help explain to me, and then I want to take their words and reflect them back to you, that this country and this economy can do far better by including everybody and representing a far more conscientious capitalism. When I meet the sons and daughters of immigrants who have been working their lives for this country and our betterment, doing some of the most backbreaking work that you can find in the United States of America. Very often work that we can find no one who was born in the United States of America to perform. The pride that they feel for their folks who made every opportunity in their lives possible. And wanting somebody who will not be defensive or apologize, but will fiercely advocate for them and their families, not just because it is good for immigrants, and it is, but because it's absolutely terrific for the United States of America. And that this country, comprised of asylum seekers and refugees and immigrants from the world over, has the opportunity to fully live up to our potential and to our promise if we include everyone in this country's future. That's exciting to me when I hear people tell me that from their own perspectives. And then we know this in Texas, especially those of you who have family in Houston, where we saw 58 inches of rain at the very outset of this campaign in 2017, the third 500-year flood in that one community in just the last 5 years. And though we'd like to think they're good for another 1,500 years, we know because we listen to the scientists and we believe in science and the truth and the facts in this campaign, that storms like those are going to become more frequent, more devastating. They're going to dump more rain. They're going to diminish the opportunity to live those lives in Houston, Texas. It's the same story that we heard from farmers in the Panhandle and in North Texas and in West Texas. No longer able to grow the food and the fiber that feeds and clothes not just this country, but so much of the rest of the world. I remember being at a town hall in a small West Texas town, and a young mother was there, a farmer, and she said, "Beto, the only reason I'm here and that we're missing my son's basketball game and that I would be seen in the presence of a Democrat is because what my grandparents planted and grew, what my parents planted and grew, I'm planting, but it is not growing anymore. I'm here to tell you that climate change," she told me, "is not something that we have to brace ourselves for or prepare the country for. It is happening to us right now." And I'm hearing that from the people in Iowa, the largest flooding from the Missouri River, because we saw the largest runoff into the Missouri River since we've been keeping records of the Missouri River. We showed up in a town called Pacific Junction. And perhaps only the people of Houston know what those who live in Pacific Junction feel like. A town that had never in any meaningful way flooded before in its history, completely underwater. Every single home in that community, every possession of any value that those folks had accumulated, lost to them and to us forever. So if we are going to use the 10 years that we have left, knowing full well that if we don't, those floods, the droughts, the fires, the aftermath we saw in California that we have today will pale in comparison with what we will see down the road. It's going to require all of us listening to one another and bringing each other in to the solutions. But the challenge only grows greater under this administration and at this moment, because an already highly polarized country is being further divided by a man who wants to make us afraid of one another, keep us angry, move us apart from our fellow Americans. A democracy already badly damaged, under attack from without the United States and under attack from within the United States. He seeks to further undermine to his own advantage and to our mutual peril. There's got to be an answer to this, and the answer has to be us, all of us. And I'll tell you, my entire life, everything that I've ever done in public service has been about bringing people together and making sure that this democracy works for all of us. As a small business owner in El Paso, Texas, creating high skill, high wage, high tech jobs in a community that you might least expect to find them, we did that by building a world-class team of folks who were just waiting for an outlet or a channel to reveal their genius and their talent. Serving on the El Paso City Council, not as a Republican or as a Democrat, but as an El Pasoan, who just wanted, as Jay Clayburgh would say, to get after it, to make sure that I delivered for my constituents, holding a town hall meeting with them each and every single week for 6 years. And their ideas, their concerns, their requests that I help them with their neighbor's dog who was keeping them up all night the night before, made me a far better representative or a better person than I otherwise would have been. And I took that lesson with me to Congress, where for 6 years, I was in the minority party. But I did not allow that to stop me from finding the common ground to pursue the common cause with my fellow members of Congress. We expanded access to mental health care for veterans in the midst of a suicide crisis for veterans, opening up more appointments, more care, saving more lives in the process. And we got that bill signed into law by the one person with whom I agree on almost nothing, Donald J. Trump, but found enough common ground to make sure that we serve those who would put their lives on the line for this country. Investing in our ports of entry, protecting public lands, we did this working together, not allowing our differences to define us. But the real reason that I'm here, and that you're here, and that we have this opportunity is because of Texas. This grassroots campaign that we all led and ran together. Those of you who hosted pop-ups or made incredible pieces of art or hosted baseball games where I got a chance to meet people I might not otherwise encounter over the course of the campaign, did something absolutely extraordinary. Without a single dime from a single political action committee, at the end of the day, all of you, we won more votes than any Democrat has ever won in the history of the state of Texas. We won independence for the first time in decades. 500,000 Republicans who voted for Greg Abbott for governor also voted for us for Senate, and we had to show up with nothing less than the courage of our convictions and a willingness to listen and learn from those whom we wanted to serve in each one of those 254 counties. I remember being in the smallest county in the state of Texas by population, second smallest county in the United States of America, Loving, Texas, Mentone, population 14. Knocking on every door until we found somebody who was at home. And I met this guy who answered the door, and he said, actually, I don't live in Mentone. I live in Amarillo, which is another place you might not expect to find a Democrat. He said, it really impressed me that you've been to Amarillo now 4 or 5 times. Every time you show up, I listen to you on the news, and I didn't think that I liked Democrats. But what you're talking about in terms of backing our world-class public school teachers, about making sure that everybody has health care, about investing in the infrastructure in rural Texas, that all hits home with me. And I said, well, what am I missing? And he said, immigration. And I said, well, tell me about it. And he said, look, I don't want to deport the Dreamers. I think they should be able to stay here. But I want some order in what we do in this country and how we welcome those who want to work here and live here and join their families. And this guy Stan from Mentone/Amarillo was on my mind yesterday when we introduced our immigration plan for America. That order that he's looking for is a contrast to the chaos that this current president has produced at our border. Putting kids in cages or in a tent city that we called Tornillo, deporting their moms back to the very countries from which they fled, risking their lives in the process, warehousing families under an international bridge behind cyclone fence and barbed wire. That's the chaos that this president is creating. And our plan, not a Democratic plan, not a Republican plan, an American plan, says that we will follow our asylum laws, we will follow our moral compass, we will never again separate another family, and we will reunite every single one of those that have already been separated. We will free Dreamers from any fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens here in their home country. And the nearly 1 million green card holders in the United States, we're going to rush their citizenship by waiving the fees and sending them already filled out applications. And then this great, indispensable country is going to work with our regional partners to ensure that we reduce violence in Guatemala, in Honduras, and El Salvador, so that there's no reason for those families to flee 2,000 miles in the first place. We don't need walls, we don't need cages, we don't need chaos. We need to be courageous and confident and bold and and do what's in the best interests and the best traditions of this country. So Stan, who's out there somewhere, I want to sit down with him and talk about how his comment and his willingness to engage with me helped to produce this plan that will be good for all of us in America. Because what we need right now, this very divided moment, is a person, is a campaign, is a movement that can bring people together and that can make this democracy work. That's the way that we're going to beat Donald Trump in 2020. That's the way that we're going to bring this country together again in 2021 and meet each and every single one of our priorities, not as Democrats or as Republicans, but Americans before we are anything else. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you for being here tonight. Looking forward to getting to shake hands with everyone who's out. Gracias. Les agradezco. Y nos vamos. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. David, wherever you are, thank you. Appreciate it. Gracias.